That's crazy. What it do, niggas?
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Black Liberation Media, the Remix Morning Show, the best morning show on the planet. Amber, Geechee, and Jared. Please like, share, subscribe, support the Patreon. Do whatever you find is in your comfort zone to support. Like, share, subscribe. Put this in your socials. What's up? What's going on? How you both feeling?
I just want to say that y'all was late. I was here early, just ready to chitter chatter beforehand. You guys weren't here. And now I got to tell the internet all my business. And I was just trying to tell y'all. It's crazy.
It's a rough morning, man.
It ain't that damn rough.
Yeah. Oh, it's rough.
Yeah. Get your internet fucking up again.
Geechee's internet. I don't know if his mic is plugged in. Who knows what's going on?
All of it's messed
At least
up.
your outfit look nice.
My mic don't sound good.
Mm-mm.
I'm about to give up. Hold on, let me
At
make
least
sure.
you put on a cute outfit today.
I just put on a shirt.
But what's up to the undefeated chat? Good morning, everybody. Peace, peace, peace.
I was in the chat this week. You motherfuckers was acting up.
Per usual.
I said, oh, y'all must don't know that I'm from Memphis and I will check the shit out of you. Let's run this back. So I had to.
You didn't have issues in the chat, did you?
I had to get some people together, but they know not to try that shit again.
Oh, wow.
Because I think we all should know I'm never the one, and you can play in traffic before you play with me.
Oof.
And I think they got that message now.
Okay. Well, all right.
I like the shirt, Jared.
I do too, and folks should definitely feel like they should join the crew and get themselves one at the Patreon linked in the show description. And you should go to the Patreon, but at the store linked in black.org, which is linked in the show description, and you can get this fly shirt and this fly mug, and then you can get this fly mug too.
We got to get some Amber's Approach shirts. I feel like
we need some Amber's Approach shirts. You can get Black Liberation Media stuff as well. And I'm expecting, everyone else to put their show stuff in there too. Soon enough, especially the what is it called? What is your segment called again? Amber's Approach.
Amber's Approach. How you forget?
You have a
look about it.
I don't know. It's just that fast. It's just that fast. The memory goes just that quickly. It's the short-term memory that goes first.
Yeah, that's what I heard actually.
The store, isn't that capitalism?
How long we been doing this fucking show?
My ideas.
See, Renee set it up. What's up, Renee?
Because y'all demonetized, and it wasn't because I was cussing on here. It was before that, so I know it wasn't me.
Yeah, we got demonetized in the BA, the time BA before Amber.
Period. I like that.
Although Amber, you feel kind of timeless, and given all my time spent in these atheist debate spaces, I'm really trying to come to terms with the fact that science apparently argues that there has never been nothing. So there has never been, in other words, a time before Amber. Amber always has been and will be. And I do admit I have fun with that concept, just sitting, even, walking or driving, getting stuck in traffic and trying to figure out how has there never been no Amber?
Yeah, I don't think it's possible.
It's
I think
That's
I very much
apparently
am timeless. And also, I think this falls quite in line with my ability to not feel or understand the concept of time at all. And my ideas around how, does anything that we currently exist in actually exist? Like if I die, what happens? Because I know as a Christian, I'm going to heaven, but
okay.
do I know that? Have I been there? I haven't been there. What does it actually look like? All of this is all a perception, all an illusion, you know?
I tend to think that it is, but I hope I'm wrong. I like the idea of at least some versions of heaven and the afterlife.
Yeah, I think that I'm definitely going to heaven. Like, I'm not worried about that. I do think
Okay,
that
good.
I am very much concerned with my ability to haunt people, like after
Mm.
things are over for me.
Oh,
One,
once
not
again, you out. Wait, quickly, once again, before you go. Good riddance. Beat it. Don't come back. Hey, once again, you are not allowed to come back. You have to leave.
not you banned. How you get banned from a YouTube show?
I don't
You know
know.
how embarrassing it is?
I don't know. But I hope they heard before. I don't want them to think that they left. I don't want them to think, Amber, you might have some experience. I don't know how you feel about that. Some, that moment where it's like, I don't want you to think that you dumped me.
Yeah, no, you got kicked out.
So you didn't
Speaking
leave.
of dumping, I dumped the whole roster. I said, I'm finna clear the clip. They didn't piss me off.
Not the whole roster.
Everybody pissed me off. I said, in true cancer form.
For real, Raj, hit the road. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to. No hostages here at the Remix Morning Show. You know what I'm saying? Everybody.
You can always leave. It's really okay.
This is not the Hotel California. You know what I'm saying? You can check out and you can absolutely leave.
Is that from a movie?
Huh? No, it's a classic. I don't know if they made a movie of it. It's technically a classic song from the Eagles. My Generation. There's a famous line where, and there's been a lot of debate, actually some interesting videos made about what does the song mean. And one of the lyrics is, you can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave. It's a good line. But here, we not the Hotel California. You can check out, you can leave, you can never come back.
You gotta go. Devin, this was my rationale, because in my head, summertime is coming. And so I feel like if you know that I'm quick to make decisions, you should know that you're at risk. And in my head, I said, fuck it. I'm finna clear the whole clip because the summertime is here and I want to re-up in a different way anyways. So I was like, fuck it. Plus, I feel like you really find things. Oh, okay. That is from a movie.
No,
okay.
Now You Can't Leave is from A Bronx Tale, which is actually, if I may interrupt for a moment, just quickly, is actually technically, if they're telling the truth, is based on a true story, where this Italian mafia has this little bar in the Bronx, and these bikers come through, and they want to terrorize and kick over stuff and be a problem. And they come into the bar and they start being disrespectful, and then they're asked to leave, and then they refuse to leave and become more of a problem. So the dude is it's a beautiful scene. The man just quietly walks over to the door of the bar and locks it. And then they have this moment where they all turn and realize they've been locked in. And then he turns and says, now yous can't leave. And they get thumped up. And it's beautiful. It's a classic scene. It is apparently at least based on a true story. Yeah. Ear Doctor says it's a true story. So therefore it's confirmed. That's the equivalent of confirmation.
I don't know if that means it's confirmed, but
Ear Doctor says it's true. It has to be.
He's the new AI.
We should talk to Ear Doctor about not making these little transition clips 20 seconds. I was thinking it'd be like 10 seconds. Although I love looking at pictures of me. I said it was a little long, but it's okay. We can roll with it. Who got birds outside the house?
Me. That's me. That's these tree-lined streets. Plenty of birds.
Hey, is my sound better or no?
Much better. Everything's better. Looks better. Stable sound.
Well,
How many computers y'all got in there? You fancy.
no, so they have a couple computers in here, but I think they're gonna start doing this new process where you bring your own equipment and plug the stuff in because their computer doesn't update. So we'll
Jabs
try this.
birds.
Mm.
And they out here too.
Okay,
They
so this
are.
what happened. I had cleared the
what
clip
happened?
because I feel like, first of all, the New Jersey nigga, he could come back. He just
Wait,
got to make
what?
He got to
Oh,
figure it out. on his
Geechee
own.
missed it, Amber. She fired her whole roster.
I said
We rubbing off on her, right? I think that's what that's.
no, we're not rubbing off on me. I'm
Yeah.
just a producer, and I don't have time for shenanigans, and I'm quick to just dump everybody. So first starting with the nigga who in the friend zone anyways, that motherfucker lost his mind and was finna get evicted, and I found the rent money that he needed at the finessing. We're not talking about like a little chump change. We're talking about like $1,500. Found the money. I was like, hey, but just to like let you know, I can't do this again because I had to finesse to make this happen. And also, do you have a plan, to make sure you're good? Do you need me to take you somewhere to pick up something? Like, are you, you need some support? The nigga started cutting me out. Talking about I'm kind of sending, and he a grown ass man, and I need to use my connections. And he started threatening me. I said, "Ooh, blocked." He done for.
Threatening.
Wait.
Yeah,
wait.
and you need to use your connections. Maybe I need to tell people about how you really are. I don't understand why you ain't got me a job yourself. I was like, what?
Oh, wait.
Mind you, the nigga didn't say nothing about being almost evicted. He didn't say anything. And 2 days ago was like, yeah, I got to start finding a new apartment. I said, what?
You a sugar mama.
Yeah, I was putting the same thing. Hey, listen, we thought Trick Daddy, this Trick Mama.
I'm not a sugar mama. It was not my money. I just called some community resources.
Man, once upon a time, that would have been great if I could have been snatched up by a sugar mama.
Imagine thinking I'm giving a nigga money, let alone $1,500. I want to give a nigga $5.
Oh no!
You got access to the 1,500, so
I didn't. I just
can't give these dudes money. Tell them, Brittany, don't give these dudes no money. These trifling ass mans.
Well, I mean, he probably gonna get evicted now because I blocked him, so he got to figure that shit out on his own. Because what you're not gonna do is go off on me trying to help you, and that's not his first time going off on me. He's gone off one time before, but he was angry about something, but he was angry about something else. So I just let him yell. But you're not gonna cuss me out and threaten me. I'm the wrong one, and I'm violent.
No.
So wait,
I'm not a non-violent person. I'm violent.
How you bypass the first red flag?
Well, I mean, he was yelling about some shit that he just needed to, get off his chest. So I just let him do it. And then I said, okay, you feel better? He was like, yeah, and I hung up. But he wasn't like yelling at me. He was just yelling in general. So I just let him yell. Anyways, cleared that nigga out. The New Jersey nigga went to San Diego for a little trip for this little investor thing that he does. Because he's in like an investor group or something.
Earn your leave.
He was just
that's a red flag. That should have been the red flag.
How's that a red flag? He ain't invested in nothing.
He said, Amber, I'm going to Invest Fest. You should have said nope.
Oh, no, he didn't go to Invest Fest.
It's the same thing.
Same thing. If the man said he's an investor, that means it's time to go, Amber. If you said,
are you an investor if you never invested, though?
Listen, if you say you're an investor, that means you're an aspiring investor. You still time to go.
He didn't say he was an investor. He said,
yeah, most of these dudes aren't pimps either, and they self-refer in that way, and that's a flag, too.
He said, well, first of all, he said that he didn't like it because ever since he signed up for the investor group thing, they like brokers and stuff are always calling him to get him to buy something. He doesn't want to buy anything. He's like, I'm indecisive. He's very he's like me. He doesn't make quick decisions. He's very calculated and like very analytical. So he hasn't decided on buying anything. He's gone to look at houses and he has not bought anything. He's like, I don't want to do that. Like it has to be the perfect thing for him. And he's been doing this for like 8 months. So at this point, I don't think he's actually going to buy anything. But I was like, whatever, fuck it. I don't care. It's not my money. So
well, I'm not qualified to give financial advice, but the corporate world keeps saying residential real estate is where they need to be because commercial real estate is gone. So you trying to compete with
he's not buying commercial.
No, that's what I'm saying. The corporate world has stopped buying commercial because everybody's working at home and they're getting more involved in buying up residential. Yeah, and it's a whole new level of competition.
He sent them to me, and I was like, I wouldn't invest in it either. He's just very indecisive. So
invest in it. He's investing, or he buying it for himself.
To me, based off what he said, it'd be an investment. Well, I mean, what is that? Because I don't know. I'm not into
He's a scammer. That's what it is.
He's gonna be on JT's Pocket Watcher next.
He's not a scammer. He a regular ass nigga. I don't think he's a scammer.
That's what the scammers are. The regular ass niggas.
That's exactly what they are.
I don't know. I feel like you got it.
Regular ass dude.
That's what Ian Dunlap is, a regular ass nigga.
A regular ass dude. He just wears tight shirts after going to the gym. That's all he does.
Amber, that's my point. That's my point.
Yeah, be careful. Be careful, Amber. Here go Amber's man right here.
No, wouldn't be mine. First of all,
don't be out there with Caesar Pena and
He's ugly. Anyway, so he went to this little meetup thing or whatever, and we was talking while he was there, but like the day he was coming back, he just wasn't communicating well, so I just didn't text him. And he hit me up, but in my head, I'm kind of done with that too, because I haven't like hit him up anymore, and I'm kind of over it. That was like a few days ago. Then my air went out in my house, and
no.
I had to go to that nigga house who lived here, but I couldn't bring my dog. And it was like bothering me because he has a cat, and the cat is weird. She a little temperamental. She like me. She fuck with me, but she don't like other animals. So then I was like, this ain't convenient for me because why your cat not friendly? So that was throwing me off too, because I feel like what you do to the cat that make it not like dogs, especially my dog. My dog is just loving and genuine and just wants to lay down and nap. And that just threw me out too. And then there was this in between the nights that I spent the night at his house. One night that I was going to spend the night at his house, I didn't because he made plans with some bitch. And then
wait. Slow down. Back it up. He made plans with another young lady because y'all are not in a committed relationship.
Yeah, because he's poly. That's not the point. The point is he shouldn't have made.
But we ain't got to be.
So why she got to be?
Why she got to be all that, bro?
She's just this innocent woman out here.
See, because Amber don't like women. You know what I mean?
Now the truth comes out.
You know what I mean?
wouldn't say that because there's some particular women I do like.
Because
we right. Saint the Dame. Why?
I couldn't say the girl name on the stream.
Well, you ain't got to call her that.
That's the first immediate word that came to mind.
Amber is a female chauvinist.
The girl, they made plans to get drinks or something. So then, but the problem with me was I honestly would have been okay with it, but the follow-up text message was like, wow, what are you doing? Why would you ask me what I'm doing? Because you're doing something already. So obviously, I can't come over to your house with the air conditioning because you got plans.
And you can stay at the house till you get home.
Amber, I just want I just want to do a quick service for you. Everybody, if you see your man somewhere on this page, if you see your man pictured somewhere on this page, it's time.
G Herbo done sell some fraud too. What
G Herbo? I just want to make sure. Man? I don't G Herbo. I don't know.
What is that credit card? Oh, Lord. G Herbo.
So just make sure if you're on some high level, Billy Carson and 19 Keys, be careful. This is the page everybody needs to check.
JT.
What page is this?
Pocket Watcher.
JT the Pocket Watcher.
Oh.
And look, he blew up. 131,000 subscribers. He blew up.
What is he pocket watching? He's just interviewing people?
No, he is a solid black liberal capitalist who loves black capitalism so much and capitalism so much he doesn't want black people to scam other black people, and that's where our Venn diagrams do overlap. He is at least honest enough where he's saying, I want to do capitalism the way the white man taught us it's supposed to be done and above board and legal. And he at least, no, in all seriousness, he is at least saying, look, he is not a radical at all, but he is at least saying, stop.
If I saw that nigga on that page,
sorry, Amber. Sorry, Amber. My bad, Amber. He is at least, JT is at least, can go ahead, Amber. JT is at least.
Yeah, that's it. Keep going.
JT is at least saying don't rip off and lie to other black people. Black people stop defrauding other black people. That's at least
He made
he's
a
at least
platform
there.
from that.
Oh, he made a
That's
big
how he became
platform from that.
popular.
I've been watching him since he was much smaller than even our
Maybe y'all
platform.
need to start doing that so y'all can get monetized again.
No, we can't get monetized again. I've even tried to check in on that.
Damn.
But that is the one reason why I was on the side of the vote that did not prevail. If I may share just a little bit of platform business, that we set up again on a brand new platform and just start from scratch, is because yes, we're approaching 49,000 subscribers. But because we're demonetized, the algorithms, it's not just about money. When you're demonetized, the algorithm suppresses your videos even more because they're thinking we can't make any money off of it. So why do we want to support it? So even the 48,000 subscribers are not all notified when things are published on the platform. So my argument, and I don't think I made it convincingly, and others made similar arguments, but was that if we start from scratch, we would start with fewer subscribers, but we would at least build up the same kind of viewer base, and our videos would eventually do more, and we would get those numbers back relatively quickly. I still think it's something we should consider.
I would have promoted it more. I don't even be telling niggas I be on this morning show because I don't want nobody in my business.
Well, that's kind of.
There's another way. There's another way to do it too, though.
Which way?
The other way to do it, I'm talking about Amber's. If you don't want niggas in your business, then probably shouldn't just share your business.
You could just come on here and talk about the news. Like,
I'm still gonna do that. I'm gonna do that for sure.
By the way, we do have news at 9 a.m. We have a special guest. So we do have Claudia De La Cruz coming through this morning. And we're going to talk about some
I want to ask her about this PSL shit. I can't wait for her to come on. But anyway, back to my story.
Oh, boy.
The nigga who was at the little, it wasn't Invest Fest. It's like a meetup. Like, it's like a group of like 20 of them. There ain't even a lot of them in the shit. But they just went to go look at some houses in California. He said, no, I'm not buying none of that shit. He ain't like none of it. And honestly, I'm convinced that he like going for the professional pictures, because every time he go, this is second one, they always say great professional off guards to him. And I said, honestly, I would have did it for the pictures too. Not gonna hold you, but I don't think he's gonna invest in anything anytime soon. The other nigga with the AC issue, that in between day where I was at my house dripping in sweat, it did something to me. I felt like that bitch I felt like that girl in Straw when she was sweating in that room in her psychotic break.
Well, first of all,
I have not seen that latest Tyler Perry classic.
I actually started it because Reverend Slaughter's wife, who works at Clark, and we're planning an event, and yesterday she swore to me how good this movie was, and it doesn't feel like Tyler Perry wrote it. That's how good it was, and I was like, all right, and I started watching it, and I only got to the part where there was the hostage negotiation at the bank.
I got to the part when she was at the bank too, and I cut that shit out.
But listen, I ain't know the ending, and Manning called me last night and tell me the ending, and I'm mad. Like, I'm like, oh shit, I didn't know all that was happening. But it is better.
Like a Tyler Perry movie. I'm not gonna hold you.
No, but it is. But it's Tyler Perry. I think he got some help on that one, because it is like a little step up.
He probably got a little bit of help, but some of the stuff wasn't adding up. The timeline's not really adding up to me. Honestly, I just don't feel like watching Black suffering all the time, especially Black women suffering. And the amount of Black women I'm seeing praise the movie also shows me that y'all really like trauma. Y'all really enjoy watching your trauma on the screen, and I don't. I actually don't.
Listen, Amber, the timeline is off because the whole thing is in her head because her child passed away.
I know what happened.
Oh wow, you should have said spoilers. You
too bad. You're not selling to watch it.
Damn.
That's the spoiler. Anyway, so the way that girl was sweating in that fucking house when she was going through that psychotic.
So the whole thing is a dream. We still doing that?
Man,
I thought that was dead with Dallas.
Focus. Why
Amber don't know nothing about that.
I do know what Dallas is.
I did get far. I think I did get far.
Like that old show that was like on the cable channels.
It was a nighttime soap opera for and I never watched it, but I do remember the controversy around that it created when a whole season was a dream, so they could bring somebody back. somebody somebody died and they could bring him back. Yeah, the Who Shot JR and all.
I do know. What
Yeah.
the
Anyway,
show was. Anyways, I was sweating like that. So then the next day, when I did go over there to sleep in his air conditioning, I was going off, and that man was like, "You doing a lot. I'm gonna need you to put one hand on your hip, one hand on your lip." I said, "What?" He said, "We're gonna have to get this together." I said, "No, we're not getting anything together, actually, because you're the one that fucked up." And then I yelled at him a little bit, and now I'm over it.
Hey, listen,
So,
I don't know who that man is, but shout out to that man. Man, I like that one.
Yeah. Third grade essay project. Yeah, exactly.
No, he was just trying to be petty because I play too much, and I do play too much, and I don't care about playing too much. You know why? Because he should have not had the girl with plans.
Nope.
So I could sleep in his house.
No.
That's what matters here.
No. I agree with this brother. Whenever it was necessary.
You don't even know that man.
Make your lips touch, Amber. Make your lips touch.
No,
that's what I would have tell you.
That's insane. That you put those words together. Anyways, yeah. So no, I just feel like when there's an emergency, it kind of shows like where people are in the realm of things, and it showed me that none of these niggas are worth shit. So
wait, slow down. You do know you're talking to us so we can hear everything you're saying, right?
I do know that.
Okay, so it sounds like that man got his shit in order, and that's why he was like, "Yo, make your hand touch a." What do you say? Make your hand touch a hip and one on your lip.
I don't think that he does.
I think it sounds like it.
Yeah. I also just like I feel like when you sleep at someone's house, you learn so many things about them that make you realize you don't like them. And I realized so many things that I just don't like.
That's what my grandmama say. Make your lip
touch.
Not
the most gullah phrase.
Yeah, make your lip touch real quick.
It wasn't gonna work on me. So I just feel like it's gonna be a no for me, dog.
Well, it sounds like it's a no for him, but sure, you can call it yours.
No, it's his loss, not mine.
Okay. All right.
It's definitely his.
Can I
speak of coming in the chat saying random ass shit that no one asked about? Anyways,
Coco Golf won, and the worst part about that, which was really, really, really irritating to me, I have to admit this, was the clip of seeing Spike Lee congratulating her, saying, "Go on, sister," standing courtside, "Go on, sister."
Not go on, sister.
Yeah, and definitely shout out and congratulations and all of that. But what I don't like about these things is the black excellence, black bourgeoisie self-congratulatory moment. That's the part I just find irritating, that Spike gets to sit there and like courtside, like he's at a Knicks game, and carrying on like this is but I get it. It is for the race. I felt that way about Angel Reese versus Caitlin Clark. So I'm with him on some level. I just don't like when the bourgeoisie.
I feel like Angel was a better player, and I feel like Caitlin should get her ass whooped. Also, when I went to that Fever game, it was a Connecticut Sun versus Fever game in Indianapolis when we were at the conference. I saw Caitlin Clark in person. She's very little. I really feel like she could be easily knocked over.
Well, I don't pretend to know much about the game. I don't watch, but when I do watch some of the clips and the highlights,
I thought everybody watches women's sports, Jared.
I don't, but I don't watch men's sports anymore either at this point.
You don't watch the NBA either? Okay.
I haven't watched an NBA. I haven't watched a full NBA game in probably
the NBA, or are you talking about something else?
I saw. Well, I was saying an NBA. I was saying like the men's league.
The NBA.
I haven't watched a full game.
NBA game.
NBA. I'm talking about
the NBA.
What are you saying? The MNBA? I don't know what that is.
The men players? Are you talking about the men players?
She's just trying to make up her own. She want to correct the WNBA.
I see. Fine,
I'm
whichever.
not
The
making
MNBA, I haven't watched either the M or the WNBA, and I haven't watched an NBA game in full game beyond clips and stuff. I haven't seen him. I'm probably 20 years. But what I do
agree,
say,
Dante.
but the issue isn't, my point isn't, I don't know if Caitlin Clark is a better player or not. What I am clear on from just paying attention to the media is that that there is a desire to make her the great white hype or hope. And that's the part where I feel invited to the.
She could have said something a while ago.
Well,
to be perfectly fair, I don't think it's fair to put anything on either of these young women. I think both situations is Caitlin Clark being asked to competently step into this kind of arena and understand the game that she's being invited to play, pun intended, I think is not fair.
I think really quick.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
If you're watching basketball, a complete player, if you're doing like Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese, Clark is a better all-around player. But Angel Reese is, and they play two different positions, so I wouldn't even compare them. Like Juju might be better than Caitlin Clark, who's still in college.
Now I do fuck with Juju. This is my only thing, because some of them be fine, and I have to remind myself they are very young. Not Juju, but I be reminding myself that they are very young. Also, I got to see Aaliyah Boston play live, and she's a baller, bro. Aaliyah was killing it.
Actually, now that you mention it, I have seen a full WNBA game more recently than the men's, because I did take years ago. I took my daughters to a game.
Because everybody what, Jared? Everybody watches
women's sports. Now, nobody all the people watching women's sports decided on that particular day not to attend the game. It was a wildly empty stadium, and we had full run of box seats and everything. But the other point I really wanted to make was that the influx of viewership because of Caitlin Clark speaks to my and other people's broader points about the economy, that you need white affluent audience members to be successful. And Caitlin Clark has brought more white attention to the game. So there's all this tension. So I don't know.
With her jerseys on, even though she wasn't even playing because she's injured. I
saw somebody say that she's single-handedly responsible for, like, I forgot what, some enormous percentage of uptick.
Why they like sell out a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Tell me this though. I hear that, Jared, in terms of white influence, but would you say that it's a chance that the rival between the two and the argument between the two also brought an influx, or do you still put that on Caitlin?
Completely. Black people was buying tickets when everybody bought tickets before in their life.
Maybe, but that's never the goal and never the point. That's only my point. The point is more white people bought. So if there was that rivalry happening for real, white people were definitely saying, we got to get in on our team. We got to get on our side and get with Caitlin. So
shit out left and right, boy.
And then when I hear about what Angel Reese is getting, from fans and others in all this hostile mail and all the antipathy she gets and all the racist comments and all that kind of stuff. Like did you all see the clip of former NBA player Boogie Cousins getting in a fight in Puerto Rico? He was ready to fight the whole stadium.
I mean, he's always getting in fights though. That's Boogie.
Yeah, but people were throwing beer and food on him, and it took like 6 security guards to get him off the court. And I absolutely identify with it, and I don't care, all the I don't care what color you are. If you're a fan in the stadium, you have no right to say or do anything or throw anything at players. You have no right. And if you do, I think morally, I'm definitely not legally, they have every right, philosophically, morally, to go up in the stands and try to put hands on you. I'm absolutely 100% on the side of that. I don't care what Boogie said. If he says something ignorant to you from the court, you don't have a right to then do whatever you want to do. And you definitely don't have a right to throw something on him And when I saw that, I was like, man, I hope he gets away, and I hope he gets his hands on somebody. And I was like, anybody. Like it doesn't even have to be specific. Everybody's guilty in that incident. Like I can't stand when I see that kind of stuff.
And this is overseas skirmish, right?
Yeah, this is in Puerto Rico. He's playing in Puerto Rico now. Yeah, this right here. This is crazy to me. And I don't know what people are saying. I don't know what starts. He grabs his crotch right here or something like that. Like I don't know, But what is dude saying to him?
Yeah, the dude's saying something.
The dudes, and then everybody, like people try to grab at him and stuff, and then other people, like dude right there in the white hat, he stood up. If you stand up and step to me like that, that's why Ron Artest put somebody to sleep in Detroit and was right to do it.
Yeah.
Don't you dare stand up and walk at me on the court like that. How dare you?
When they start throwing stuff at him.
Right here. It's coming now. When they're trying to get him out, it gets worse. Look at all of that. Look at that right there. Look at that. Nah, man.
Oh, I would have been whooping their asses. Oh my God.
Man. Nah, man. And then he's not. Nah, man. Look at that. Nah, man. Nah. And there's another video where you see the other view where he gets. Nah, man. There it is. Nah, man. And you're all tackling me while they're throwing stuff at me. I was like, I hope he gets away.
I mean, those also probably his peoples who like, bro, the type of lawsuits you're gonna get if you hit one of these people. We
That's what I'm saying. It's not legal. It's not, obviously, we don't condone violence on the Remix Morning Show, any of that. I'm just saying morally and philosophically, I'm like, you throw something at somebody. And I do know legally, at least in the United States, spitting on someone is assault. So if you throwing stuff at somebody and spitting on somebody and all of that, that's assault. So if you spit on somebody and they punch and knock your teeth out, that's self-defense.
Yeah.
As far as I understand.
Because you've never done it.
Actually, I literally never have. I literally have never knocked someone's teeth out for spitting on me. But I'm saying morally and philosophically, I think you have every right to. And I think as a player, you have every right to not have people throw stuff on you and give you the finger. And then somebody step up and get on the court because you're courtside. You're going to step up and take a step to me like that? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Do a speed lightning round of responding to people in the chat. So this is the first one. I don't know how he messed it up, James. He's stupid. The next one is Latif. Yes, I did. I purged and I will be restocking it within the next month during my travels. James said something else that was funny. What does this mean? Amber, help me pop these 100
pounds off.
That was confusing.
Is that a weightlifting reference? I don't
know, child. And then William said, "Where's Amber's review of the conference? Did she do a video?" I did talk about it in the last episode we did last Friday, William. You can go back and watch that. I think that was all the ones that I wanted to respond to.
Yeah, bro, we're gonna put you on this thing. We're gonna have a segment for you to respond to all the comments. You know how to highlight them?
Yes,
Ichi.
Well, you're gonna highlight your chat.
Bro, stop fronting. You was in the audience.
We're gonna let you respond to them.
Geechee, I think it's cute that you try to do that, but you don't run me, and I won't be doing that. I'll continue to do whatever I want.
We're not trying to run you. We're just trying to run the show.
It's a good suggestion, though, Amber. I think it is a good suggestion.
There won't be one.
It's part of a segment.
Also, let me tell you why that's helpful. Because remember, we have different people watching. So whenever you put something on the screen and respond to it, they don't know what you're responding to. So it'll be easier for you to.
But I was responding to the questions they were asking, so actually they do know what I'm responding to.
No. Listen, this is what I'm saying. Sometimes we have people who can see. Sometimes we got people who can't see, and so whenever you put something
that's why I read the question out loud.
Amber, listen to what I'm saying, love. I promise you, you did not read. There's sometimes you don't read it. Like when Jared's talking, you'll be like, "Oh, you shouldn't be shooting no Glock," and then. That's
I
that's
have done that, but usually I do read them.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying.
But I usually do read them. Actually, I'm usually the only one who's reading them, other than Jared. So interesting that you said something.
And
that's some
be
good,
more
that's some good
Kuma,
gaslighting. That's some good gaslighting.
Ron Artest or Meta World Peace, as he was once known, is definitely one of my all-time favorite NBA players. And quietly, Steven Jackson is one of my favorite because he went into the stands right behind Ron Artest. He said, "My homeboys in the stands swinging, I'm going too." And I love that. Absolutely love that. And sometimes, here's what I will do, Amber. I have not ever punched somebody in the teeth for spitting on me. And thankfully, no one has ever spit on me. But I will, from time to time, go back and rewatch The Malice in the Palace. I watch some of those. I watch the documentaries. I watch the videos about it. I watch the highlights. I find it very motivational.
That was a good moment.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Shout out to Jermaine O'Neal from South Carolina.
Jermaine O'Neal, all of them.
Lay down.
Absolutely. And yeah, all of that. Let me stop. I get very.
I have another question now. First of all, James, are you from Chicago? He said Chicago lingo for helping me sell this.
Yeah,
weed.
he's from Chicago. We know that much about James.
I know how to sell drugs. First of all, that's where you first fucked up. Secondly, I don't do stuff illegally, so I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, we're fully legal on here on the Remix.
I'm a law-abiding citizen because they like arresting me for stupid shit, so I can't be actually caught doing nothing illegal.
And nowadays they get, they detaining senators and threatening governors. It's rough out here.
I ain't never seen this many elected officials getting federal charges, baby. They finna lock everybody up. LaMonica ass and got indicted. I remember this one time that I got indicted, and honestly, I will say that it's actually not that strenuous of a process. It's actually pretty easy to indict people, and I just want to say that I was not guilty, and I don't think LaMonica guilty either, and I got it dismissed. So I think that she can out as well, but it was.
But this kind of, for me, this is like the political Coco Gauff version. Like, one of the issues that I have with these moments is how the fake leadership gets reaffirmed and gets to look good. This is what Dr. Burton, or Osami Burton, said, in a recent interview with us not too long ago about the liberal counterinsurgency.
I need to talk about 5 niggas that single more. So let's make a list, Jared.
He's definitely married, and shout out to his wonderful spouse and family.
And that's why I need to talk about niggas who are single more.
But that as much as Trump and them are wrong, the way that this already bad Democratic and other forms of Democratic Party leadership are going to get sort of reaffirmed and given a new legitimacy as the mature and responsible forms of leadership is part of a problem for me. So, and that, that's why I do like that we continue around here to try to encourage a continued leftward push, so that we don't have to allow the reset, so to speak, to be a Biden, which is what Biden was, a claimed reset from the first Trump administration. And look where we are now. So,
Jared, before we move past sports, I think I was just trying to remember from high school to college, there's only two clear the benches that I've experienced. One in high school and one in college.
Oh, you were in both of them?
Yeah, like my team in high school. I remember. I think I remember that fight, but the one in college was it was pretty big.
You were throwing balls, Geechee?
No, I did crack somebody with my helmet, but
oof.
But I think they had the helmet on, and then
I think
no, I'm pretty sure they had the helmet, but they was on outside, and like some of my teammates saw it. I cracked them, and then I kind of like went behind, and I think somebody else got ejected. But that's the one I remember. But
the last time I thought, yeah, my bad. Go ahead, yeah.
No, I'm just saying the whole bench cleared. Even one of our coaches, our defensive coordinator, he was throwing hands too. So it was interesting.
I've never had that experience, and thankfully, and my sports career ended so early. It was the only time it became kind of close was when I was at my father-in-law's. I went with my father-in-law to see my brother-in-law play a game, and the soccer game. And it started with the players on the field, spilled over the argument spilled over to the sideline. The ref had to stop the game and move. He had to have our side of families move to the other side of the field so that we weren't as close to the other team's family, because like it was starting to get heated. I actually thought we were going to have to fight our way out of there. That was the last time I really felt that fight or flight.
You know, fight for your life.
I did. In that moment, I did, because it was you know, it was a lot of tough talk out there, a lot of people, not a lot of quote unquote not that we would want them there, but not a lot of authorities or no authorities that would have been able to stop anything. And everybody was involved. So like, you know, the players were beefing with each other, the parents, the sidelines were beefing, the ref barely had any, like they were threatening the ref. Like it was all, yeah. The ref, you know, and there's some, you know, there's video montages like, man, it's rough out. There's like montages of refs getting thumped up, you know, and getting attacked. Like I don't, you know, and even somewhat of famously recently, a wrestling ref got assaulted by a white father. The father walked onto the mat and assaulted the dude because he thought he was scoring the match against his son inappropriately. And
it's never that serious though.
It shouldn't be.
I do know people take sports super serious though, like especially when you're in like your junior, senior year, they take it serious because they want to get like scholarships and shit. I just don't care that much. And because I know so many people, I've seen people who play like at the lower level, like not at a D1 school, like a D2, D3. I've seen people who play at D1 level, and I just feel like they take all that shit so serious. Like it's like their whole, like, especially basketball, their whole lives revolve around basketball. And I'm just like, this is not that serious. Like, do you have hobbies? Like, what is your personality like without this?
Amber, can I show you? You mentioned the PSL earlier, and I know we have Claudia coming up in about 10 minutes or so. But I wanted to, I don't know if I want to bring this to her attention, but I thought I would share it with the both of you and get your thoughts on this real quick. Yes. I don't know if you all are hearing about some of the conspiracy theories around what's happening in LA right now, but usually I like to watch.
So
I admit I watch Hassan Campbell's channel from time to time for his commentaries on other things.
You get deep on YouTube
sometimes, and then but every once in a while he gets into politics, and I admit I don't usually watch this far into a video where he's done it. But this one was somewhat interesting because this kind of gets back to my point about the liberal counterinsurgency. So I won't play the whole thing, but here in this video, he starts off with a criticism of my son. This is not Hassan. He's playing a video here. I'm going to play this clip in a second. But Hassan is criticizing my son and Tamika Mallory, basically saying, you know, where are you all?
Ooh, I hate them both. Hate them both.
Exactly. So like there's a lot of criticism. That's my point. And he's condemning them as
my son is actually a decent rapper, but he's a horrible fucking person.
He was decent. You mean you're right? Yeah.
But what I enjoy about it is the criticism of them. I just don't agree with the perspective of the criticism. And I did notice that PSL gets brought up here again by this dude who apparently is another one selling a book and his survival guides and all this kind of stuff. It's so I don't mean to, but the long story short is they think Antifa, the communists, and the PSL have created this whole uprising in LA to create a government crackdown so that they can crash and destroy this country. Hold on.
But no Marines. Now, why would they do that? That's because 700 Marines have just been deployed to LA, almost like they knew, right? But that's not all. A brand new investigation just cracked open with this Chinese communist-linked billionaire, Neville Singham, who...
Now, Neville Singham, Roy, also known as Roy Singham, is someone I and others have met. He is a Howard University Singaporean. Is he from Singapore originally? Roy, but he is a very wealthy tech person who went to Howard University, has a left communist background, and has been supportive. He's supported financially and otherwise and technologically out platforms like Democracy Now!, the Real News Network, and others. So and I've met he when I was working with Glenn Ford at Black Agenda, we all met at one point to talk about his support for Black Agenda TV, which he did at some point. So anyway, that's who he's bringing up here.
Who actually funds the Party of Socialism and Liberation that forced the hand of the Pentagon to release the Marines. Isn't it funny that his logo shows up at this anti-ICE protest that just passed on June 7th in San Antonio? Interesting. Not to mention, he lives in Shanghai, China, and I'm assuming he's made all his money George Soros style, but this is where it gets spooky. Can anybody tell me why not one, not two, but 3 Chinese nationals was just arrested smuggling in bioweapons into the U.S.? Now, this is linked to a lab from the University of Michigan.
Anyway, so that's the
I just want to say that this was not a good conspiracy theory, Jared. I mean, I see where he was trying to go with that, but it just wasn't clicking enough for me, and it got boring fast.
The music.
That's why I'm not playing the whole thing. I just thought it was interesting to see the PSL get brought up in this context. And then if you watch the rest of the video, the dude is selling his survival book. So it's like buy my book. Don't listen to the Chinese. Buy my book.
Listen.
And I would.
The music in the background, the dramatic music in the background told you that that's what was going to happen.
It's gonna be some bullshit. He recording this stuff in his car. Come on now.
But Hassan is promoting this guy because he's saying all of this is connected to the Tamika Mallorys and the My Sons, and it's this whole Antifa, so that's why we got to get good with God. And so this is where Hassan loses.
Now how God get in it?
Because Hassan is, he believes.
I know
Hassan is saying, got to get good with God.
Now how I get in it?
But I admit, where Hassan has always got me is again with his story of surviving the abuse with Africa Bambaataa, and then he's often usually taking some stance encouraging the so-called thug community to stop faking like thugs and become better people. That's usually the lane that I find him most interesting in. But when he gets into these political things, I'm like, all right. But I said the PSL, Antifa, Singham, the Chinese, like all of these are the reasons why what's happening in LA, and never do they say that it's legit people having a legit response, that it's and they are all, and by the way, and I think Hassan is himself, which is another reason why I had to cut him off a little bit, is they love Trump.
My favorite video from the LA stuff is this Latina lady with a leaf blower. She said, "What's a leaf blower for?" He said, "It's to blow the tear gas back on those motherfuckers."
Oh, wow. Funny. Actually, I
said, you know what?
That sounds effective. Did that work?
Yeah, that girl was not playing, baby. She said she got her goggles on, she got her mask, she got her outfit together with her leaf blower. She ready to go. She got her little bullhorn she just bought at the Home Depot today. I said, you know what?
Didn't. No, she went to Roy Singham, who outfitted everybody with the bullhorns and the leaf blowers and the goggles.
Kits.
Yeah,
they gave everybody protest kits, and they knew what was going on. I do just feel like I just want to respond to this. So the Jamin said, I feel like people forget Amber's a CMB member, and I feel like it's none of their business. Like,
wait, what context? Like, how do you? So that's time out of context, and then you pulling it up. What does that got to do with it?
I don't know what the context was because he randomly said.
That's Geechee's point, by the way, Amber.
I thought it was interesting, and I wanted to respond to it. I don't think
Amber. I gotta say, Amber, I'm not saying you're wrong. I am saying that it's funny that 2 seconds after you told Geechee not to follow that method, you are literally showing why he was trying to evolve a method so that you would know the context.
I feel like it takes away from the character of the show if you structure everything. That's boring.
Hey,
what do you want?
All I do is push the buttons.
And rules, realistically, unless it's like for strictly organizing purposes, I really don't believe in like rules and shit like that. I'm just like, who wants to do that?
Please stop! Please stop! Please stop! You believe?
No, I won't be stopping. And I see that we're at 300, so I just want to say you're welcome for getting the views up. Secondly, make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe, especially if you're going to comment about how amazing I am and how Geechee needs to stop trying to follow rules for everything. Secondly, someone also said that I was a DNC member, and I'm not a DNC member. I just want to point that out. And what about it? And Amber is all over the place. And what about it? What y'all gonna do about it? I also want to point out
I
that
didn't see that video.
Jared is pulling these up and he's not reading them. For everyone who said,
Jared,
you're right.
Jared, this is a tear gas video, I think, with the leaf blower.
But the bee stinger video with African Bambaataa I have not seen.
No,
but,
go ahead and read the
that's
comment,
the
Jared.
It's the comment was, did you see the bee stinger?
Some folks only have audio. Some folks don't have video too.
Oh, did you see? You're not okay. Did you see the video of bee stinger standing next to African Bambaataa? Amber's trolling. So the people who can't see the screen and are only hearing, as Amber claims, she's trolling me right now. just so you're clear on that. This was not some legitimate concern for your inability to see the screen. I just want everybody to be clear on that.
It's a definite concern. It's all Geechee's fault, because Geechee wants to be all nitpicky and be like, you can't just put up the comments. You're not reading them. It's random. Nobody knows, and none of that matters.
It does
That's
matter.
Not the video I'm talking about with the girl, Geechee, but this is a leaf blower thing. Yeah.
He's just showing an example of it. Yeah. Okay.
I'll find the video with the girl and send it to you.
Because those things are extremely strong. So yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, they actually do work. I mean, they were using them and it was working. And I was like, oh, come on, tactics. I just think that if we're going to apply rules, then we should be applying them unilaterally. And a lot of times it feels like Geechee says things to be pointing it towards me, but everyone else isn't doing them. And I just like to point out the inaccuracy, the inconsistency of it all. You know?
Provide us one example.
The one that just happened, where you said I shouldn't bring up the comments without reading them and that they're random and we should just put them in a certain section. But then Jared put up comments, 3 of them actually back to back to back, and did not read any of them and responded to them.
You're right.
Exactly. If you hate Black women, I just wish you would say that. But.
Oh Lord.
Oh Jesus.
Not the hate for Black women.
How do we fast forward to the next?
You know, this is my favorite comment. Amber rules, rule by Amber ruling, Amber ruling, all of the above. Exactly. The point is, it's
what the hell? What the hell? Oh. I think the birds just said the birds just said, let's move on. That's what the birds just said. You heard it?
All right, cool. So everybody listen, like Amber said, like, share, subscribe, support the Patreon, get yourself some merch, or just put this in your socials, invite others to join you, and let's come back with our very special guest right here on the Remix Morning Show. Don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back to the Remix Morning Show. Amber, Geechee, Jared, and joining us once again is the one and only legendary Claudia De La Cruz. Welcome back.
How are y'all doing?
President, or should be president.
Your hair looks great.
We would have avoided all of it.
Thank you.
Well, you know, let some other people who ran for president tell it. You know, they were supposed to win, so who knows? Even though I feel like Claudia should have won too.
Well, I don't know who.
One day the people will claim its victory. I think we're on our way there. How y'all doing?
You were really prepared to take all that on, though, Claudia? I feel like it would have just been so much.
I didn't do it alone. That's why having a party is important. An actual functional party that's embedded in movement. That makes all the difference. But how y'all doing? I keep asking how y'all doing. Ain't nobody answering me. How are you all doing? I'm so happy to be here. This is family.
Yeah. Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. Doing well.
As good as could be expected. Yeah.
Not as good as could be expected. What you didn't tell us about? You waited till Claudia got on to get the tea?
No, there's no tea. That's just my general honest answer. I'm as good as could be expected. Like, you know,
a lot is happening and it's overwhelming. And I'm
actually tired of having to say a lot is happening.
A lot is happening. It's overwhelming. But the good thing is that people are resisting. That's the hopeful part. Mm-hmm. That nothing's happening without people being loud and people organizing and people doing what they're being called to do. which is the hopeful piece in terms of us coming out stronger for the next stage of struggle. So that's that. I was in Atlanta. Geechee, what's up?
You ain't hit me up.
I wasn't there.
Let me find out you didn't check in. You went all the way to Atlanta. You didn't check in.
You said next time you come to Atlanta, go hit me up. And you shouldn't tell me that. See, I know what it is now.
I love when people, people come to the DC area and they just and they tell me afterwards.
Well, I mean, I came in before. I told you beforehand, and you still ditched me. So
I didn't.
I was there for one night. So in my defense, and I was there with a whole group of people doing a freedom ride. So it was
no, in all of your defense, I'm not likely to be available anyway, so it's all good. But
okay.
Yeah.
But you did tell me you was gonna possibly be available, so you really finessed.
I did. I said I would do what I could do to make it happen, and just was not able to. But
it's cool.
So Claudia, we did. So a couple seconds ago, I did share something silly. I maybe use this as a segue to get things started here a little bit. But I played a clip where PSL. I've seen a couple of clips on social media where PSL gets mentioned in these wild conspiracies. This one was that Roy Singham single-handedly funded PSL to create the disturbances in LA that would create the crackdown from the government that would allow China to take over and the communists to win. I did not realize that even though you could not marshal enough electoral support to win legally, it was disturbing to see that you all would turn to such nefarious efforts.
Listen, I think people should really think about this critically, because it's a way of discrediting the power of movement.
Yeah.
Like in the same way that they're like, well, the PSL single-handedly is responsible for everything that's happening in LA. It's like, what about the people? Like, what about the people who are fed up, that have had enough? Like, I feel like folks need to be way more critical about so many things. Is it impossible to believe that there is a leftist socialist party, explicitly socialist, anti-imperialist party in the United States that's completely funded by its membership? Is it impossible for this party to have a political line that is clearly anti-imperialist, clearly anti-capitalist, that has solidarity embedded in it with Palestine, with Cuba, with Venezuela, with the working people in this country? Is it impossible to believe that this party, this organization, has been able to accumulate the aspirations, the dreams, and the creativity of many young people in this country? Is it impossible that our working class people could do that? Because when we ask those questions, and the answer is no, it's not impossible, it has been done before. If we answer that, then we start dismantling all the bullshit that happens with people that are often desk revolutionaries, people who sit behind them desks, behind those iPhones, behind that technology, and aren't really rooted in any type of organized struggle. Roy Singham, yes, he is actually someone who was connected to the People's Forum and its formation, someone who granted the financing without any type of expectation for the development of that program. And I also want to challenge people to think about Marx and Engels. We wouldn't have, in any way, shape, or form, any of the theory, any of the writings of Marx, any of the work that Marx did, without someone actually financing it. And what do we say about nonprofits that are financed by the Democratic Party, wrapping themselves in progressive philanthropy?
They don't say anything.
I think we need to be less naive. We need to be less conspiratory, and we need to actually practically understand what is happening in terms of the distractions that are being created, the narratives that are being created, specifically to be able to have us pin against each other. We need to be very clear who our enemies are, and I don't think it's necessarily the PSL or the People's Forum or anyone that's actually mobilizing and organizing in our movement.
Yeah.
Right on. Appreciate that. And I think we should clip that and have a little relatively viral moment with that response. Cause I'll be honest with you, I've seen a number of references to PSL lately in this context. We asked Eugene recently about the when he was on with us on Saturdays with Renee, when forgot the man's name already, who allegedly killed the two people at the Jewish Museum in DC. And you know, they were pointing out in the media how he had been at some PSL thing, and this was a PSL inspired thing, and all this other kind of stuff. And to your point, the politics of the organization, the history of these struggles, the encouragement for people to participate. Thank you, Renee. Elias Rodriguez, or Elias, forgive me, is, you know, the alleged assassin of the two people at the Jewish Museum a couple weeks ago down the street here in DC. And there was this, and then it was reported widely that he had at one point been interviewed or was quoted in or something about the PSL. And I'm saying, and again, I'm just saying, like, to Claudia's point, it just is a clear attempt to condemn leftward radical movements, as if the right, which is much more well-resourced and well-funded, isn't doing all kinds of stuff. Like they're just sitting here innocently while the Chinese and Roy and the PSL are conspiring to create all of this chaos. I mean, it's just, and then the point is, in the video clip that we shared, it was someone, to your point, Claudia, who's sitting in his car on his iPhone, ultimately promoting his book, his survival guide book. You know,
but did you not book?
You know, no, I should though.
But you don't want to survive.
I don't.
That's the problem.
Well, I'm sitting here with the Chinese communists and the, you know.
I think it's important also to, when I started doing organizing work, and this is why, I mean, people are, you know, talk about how the leadership deflects. I saw it in the comments. No, there's certain things that you pay attention to, and then there's certain things that you just don't pay attention to. Why? Because again, if you immerse yourself in the he said, she said type of context, then you stop doing the work that matters. You take the energy away from what you need to be doing. And I think it's important for us to also think about the fact that these narratives aren't new. It happened during the Black Panther movement. It happened with the Young Lords. It has happened. It happened throughout the civil rights movement. This is out of a playbook. Now, do we need to respond? We need to respond to the people we are accountable to. And we are accountable to the people who we share responsibility with. Remember that, because a lot of people talk about accountability. Accountability to what? To whom? For what? To build what? We are accountable to those we share responsibility with. This word accountability has been thrown around to kind of force people to have to respond to everything. We don't have to respond to everything. In fact, responding to everything is a way of opening up the door to be politically destroyed by the state. If we really do believe in people's movements and revolutionary movements that were led by people like Fred Hampton Sr., that were led by people like Malcolm X, that were led by people, you fill in the blank, then we need to understand that there is such thing as political security. There is such thing as not putting all your things out in these internet streets. There is something like being accountable to a small group of people that have your back and that you trust with your life. That is the type of context in which we are in right now. And if we don't have the capacity to see that, we will lose once again, and we will continue to lose. And so, you know, there are a lot of people, again, that have a lot of criticisms about PSL, but I was taught early on that if I wanted to belong to an organization, I needed to see what the product of their work was. What alignment politically and in values do I have? A lot of people want to belong to groups that aren't doing shit. That all they have is criticisms for the left. That all they have is hate for leaders that are putting their lives on the line. And so I ask those groups, out organize those that you have critiques against. Do the work. That's the type of competition we need to see. Now, not this. Out organize, do the outreach, do the mobilization, do the education work, build internationalism in this belly of the beast. Do the work. That's the best form of criticism.
I think you make an extremely important point in terms of not answering to everything, but also just in general. I think people are struggling in orgs on the left as well, where the accountability, as you said, they don't, I don't know if they are clear that they're accountable to the people. And then I think being a PSL and other orgs being explicit about that allows for the focus to be on the people as opposed to the side skirmishes and the internal conflict that seems to be permanent in some of the orgs. So that's an important point in terms of accountability.
Yeah. I also think the narrative around like PSL being so responsible for things is a way to like quell the idea of people power in general, because like obviously y'all are not in charge of all these things that's happening. But if you sell that narrative to people, then they think that, oh, we don't have as much power as we really have, which I talk about a lot. I was talking about that this week on Facebook and Threads, because apparently my Facebook post to Threads automatically, and it's annoying. But I was talking about that, about how like, you know, there are always more of us than there are them, and we have way more power than we're using. But we forget that a lot because of the way that these ideas are manufactured and taught to us that, you know, this system is in charge, when it's not. Actually, we are very much in charge and can take over. We're just not using the power that we have.
And usually in history, which is another aspect of it, I know Jared's looking for something to come back and just spit some fire. I see it. Listen, I'm here. We're there. I see it. In history, it's so important to remember that it has been the fire of the people. It has been people's like massively collective unwillingness to bend that ultimately moved organizations to follow. If you don't have the masses of people, your organization isn't necessary. What's history? The USSR, for example, in the Soviet Union, people actually broke out and were protesting, and the party had to follow. The same thing if you look at US history, when people actually feel like there's nothing to lose because they've taken away so much, and they've taken away people's fear, organizations then follow that. Mostly it is the people who have led. Now, what organizations do is capture that energy, is structure that energy, is funnel that energy so that it doesn't go back to the right wingers, to the liberals, to those instruments that have consistently refused the people's ability to lead. We have to be able to understand that when we start falling into the narratives that this one organization and that one organization, we're also allowing ourselves, our own organizations, to be attacked. The left is already small. We are small. And so if we allow these narratives for the sake of feeling like we are higher than thy, and we're the better organization, we are also contributing to the dismantling of a left in this country. We say in the PSL very openly and clearly, we want all left organizations to grow. And that's when we ran the campaign, we were so clear. We're not campaigning against Cornel West, and we're not campaigning against Jill Stein. We're campaigning against capitalism. We're putting socialism on the table. We're putting socialism on the map. And we worked with so many different organizations in the process of doing that, because our intent is not to dismantle the left. Our intent is to contribute to developing a strong, independent movement of working class people in this country.
Now listen, that's called my boy. You know nothing about that.
So, no, go ahead.
Oh, I was just referring on like, well, think about your comments you made, Claudia, about like not responding to everything. I do want to know, like, how do you decide what y'all do respond to? Because I was seeing a lot of videos from organizers that I work with about some of the PSL protests and the locations, and I noticed that PSL never responded, like on their main pages or even in the comments. And I do think some of things like that, when people are raising like very valid concerns, do require a response. And that did bother me because I feel like you don't have to respond to everything that feels like, noise or conspiracy. But if someone is raising a very valid, concern about a community, and it wasn't just the one in DC, it was the one in Louisville, it was one that was happening in Indiana. Folks in Indianapolis were very concerned because there was no safety plan and people had got arrested at a previous action. And I thought those were very valid concerns, but they never responded to them. So like, how do you decide that? And I'm sure like other people are over different chapters. So like, how do y'all communicate that? And why didn't y'all say anything?
So there's a lot of different aspects to your question, which is basically what requires a response, one, and two, then how do we formulate a response that is not antagonistic? Because I think it's not only about responding, it's also about how you respond. And if our desire is to contribute to the development of movement, it has to come from a place of sharing why we have decided what we have decided. And sometimes that takes much more time if you're actually doing it in a collective process. It's important for us to understand the structure of the party. We are a democratic centralist organization, which means that we have leadership that has been voted in by the membership of the party. The highest decision-making body of the party is called the Congress, the Party Congress, which we have every several years. That's where the leadership is the leadership is elected, and from there's other elections that take place. Taking that into consideration, there's a process. No one person decides for the party. And there's actual representation based on the different branches of the party. All of that is there. Now, we have conversations in which not everybody agrees on everything, but we believe in unity for the sake of the party, not uniformity, which means that we also follow a political line. We follow what we came into the party in agreement to. I saw the same things you saw in terms of people's criticism in DC and other places as to why we decided to do the protest, where we decided to do the protest. We don't exist in a vacuum as a political organization. We exist in a ecosystem of organizations, some which have have different views from us, not explicitly socialist, not revolutionary in many ways. And I'm speaking again based on the party, and we are a revolutionary party, we are a socialist party, but we're also very much embedded in struggle. The question people usually ask is, do you have or do you know directly impacted people? I'm the daughter of immigrants. I have family members that are not leaving their homes. I have family members who are very much thinking of whether they will self-deport or not. So I am part of that group of people that is directly impacted. But nonprofits and liberal organizations utilize and weaponize that to say that there are certain groups that can't do the work. And we have to be very clear about that. And that is also part of the narrative as to choosing where to do X, Y, and Z. Just like me, there are many other comrades all around the country who are directly impacted, who haven't or cannot be in positions of, whatever. The point is this, that in a space where there is attacks that are happening, and there are people who are organizing and mobilizing, there are other ways of being in conversation about why the tactic and how to make it better. It's not about not having those conversations. But if you have a real connection to movement and work, then you talk to the leadership. You don't go online.
I mean, I do know some of the organizers who did try to talk to the leadership that didn't respond. So I do think that some of it is a last minute, response of trying to get something from someone. But I do wonder if, like, since you're saying that y'all have like an elected body, is there not like a rapid response or emergency protocol y'all follow if someone is bringing up a safety concern about an action that y'all are having?
I'm going to go back to what I said. We have an elected body of people. Rapid response comes through a process so that it doesn't come through one person. And in terms of accountability, again, accountability comes with who has the branch been working and organizing with and for how long. You understand what I'm saying? There are people who expect a response and expect some sort of, you need to respond to this demand now without having established that relationship. In fact, with having relationships prior to this that have been antagonistic. And I would dare say, which other organizations that are doing the work will take on the word and leadership of other organizations that haven't been in relationship to them before? I'm sorry, Geechee, and then why expect for that to be the situation? There are organizations who do all sorts of things all the time, and we either show up or don't, but we're not putting out that narrative and doing all that stuff online to other organizations. So then why now? Why this? And that's the critical aspect that we need to be able to ask ourselves.
I mean, I think you can ask those questions while also not ignoring what people brought up. Like, I feel like let me finish what I'm saying.
I mean, that's three times, but this is right. Because I think whenever you say a valid critique, like that's relative. Like how? I
said a valid concern, not critique.
Well, even a concern is still relative. Like to who? Like who says it's valid? And then I think the other issue is the outside. Like these are people outside of the organization, and there's already like conflict or whatever. And if this is an organization who is organized to do a particular thing, again, maybe the other answer is like, well, then out organize them. We'll do it differently. Because
I don't think that's like a realistic response. I feel like that's a deflection, which is what I was gonna.
No, I don't think it's a deflection.
You interrupted me, but you like to interrupt me. So I didn't get to
as a visitor, Geechee and Amber, I think I follow. I get what you're saying, Amber, in terms of like, why ignore, why not engage, why. These are the questions that you're raising, and they're valid questions. If it's a matter of concern for the community, there's a question of trust too, because how do we understand as individuals or other organizations, again, going back to the context, each context is different. I don't know who these folks are that are trying to reach out to these PSL leaders in the different contexts in which they are and what relationships they hold. My understanding is that in many cases, these are not relationships that have been created on the basis of trust and long-time organizing. There are those, and then there are those that aren't. And those who have a relationship that are based on trust and actually being engaged in organizing work throughout the years, I'm pretty sure that if that's the case, there is a response because there is a friendship, there is a comradeship, there's an organizing together. That's the first part. The second part, to which a little bit about in terms of like what Geechee was talking about, what makes it valid, what doesn't make it valid. Part of what makes it valid or not valid in terms of does it require a response is the type of relationship you have. You don't respond to everyone. You respond mostly to people you have a relationship with, and that you have a relationship that has weight. That's one thing. The other aspect of it is if we have a relationship and there is an understanding of how we organize and the fact that we do take into consideration the safety of communities, then you're not undermining the leadership of another organization with regards to their way and form of organizing. So I think in many different ways, there's a question of, have we built this ship before the storm? We're not trying to like figure it out in the moment, but we have a relationship that actually allows us to be in conversation with each other to make decisions. And if that's not the type of relationship, then neither of the two groups can expect a response. If as the PSL, we haven't developed a relationship with immigrant organizations, with housing organizations, with organizations doing mass incarceration work, and we all of a sudden are putting together a mobilization, but cannot be in conversation with these organizations from one day to the next, we cannot expect these organizations to trust our leadership. And that's what I'm talking. Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
I definitely see
that in many ways, there's an expectation from a party and from an organization that one, there are groups who haven't devoted their time to answer calls, to answer emails, to open doors, to be in conversation with us for a long time. And then there is a dedicated group of people who actually feel in many ways and shapes and forms that we are in a territory that we shouldn't be. And therefore they must throw dirt rather than contribute to building something different. And so there's a lot of things happening. That's why in my personal life, I don't give a lot personally. I'm not talking for the party. I don't give a lot of life and light to social media. I live a full life in real life with real organizers, real people, real relationships. And if people want to holler at me, they know how to find me.
I mean, I don't think it's more so like from folks in New York. I think I'm seeing like a lot of people in the chat from other places, but there was someone who said that they did reach out to the leadership and they just gave them a BS answer. They really didn't answer specifically. And then someone else said that folks in Indiana were upset that the PSL chapter didn't show up to the P2 rally that we had last weekend after committing to coming. So I do think when people are forming these relationships with PSL chapters, but then the PSL chapter is dropping the ball, it does kind of erode the trust in some ways. So I do think it also depends on where you are, like what that PSL chapter is doing. But I've heard stories from multiple chapters. I really haven't heard anything from New York City, so I don't know. Y'all just be chilling. But I hear stuff about other chapters all the time and like how they're dropping the ball on different things, and I don't really see them responding or there being any accountability there. So I do think it doesn't build the trust up for other people to organize with them when they don't feel like they're being heard. Just kind of like how I had to keep asking specifics to kind of get an answer. I think people are feeling that too, like they're not really getting a specific response. And I think that that's important. People feel like they're being heard when they're asking a question. Not you. I'm saying like people in the chat are saying that they don't feel like they're being heard when they're like asking something, or they don't feel supported at certain things. Somebody said that their friend got arrested at a PSL event and they just stood there. They didn't support them. So I think they like those are valid questions.
How are any of these claims even being vetted though? And in what context? I mean, because I'm not a member of PSL, but I've been at many events in where PSL is involved. And it would be hard to say that things that go on there are or are not their fault or responsibility. So I'm not clear how we would even be able to assess if someone has a concern and they're raising it, where they're raising it, how they're raising it, how valid is that concern, to what extent do they know the full context of what's going on. And then ultimately, if there are some imperfections in the PSL or others, what is the goal of the criticism that's being raised? Is it to try to correct so that a very important organization can continue to do good work, or is it to, I don't know, self-aggrandize or something else? So that's.
I do think it's interesting when people are saying something about their experience in the chat and then y'all are asking about something being valid. I do think that's, I don't know. I don't like that. I feel like if someone is saying that they had an experience, I choose to believe people, especially Black people, when they say something happened to them. But there's a PSL member in the chat who was saying that. They said that.
No, it's not about belief. It's about assessing. Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. I'd like to say something. I've been doing organizing work for 30 years, or a little bit more than that. And I've come to contact with a lot of organizations that have a lot of messy shit happening inside and with other organizations. I don't think that there's an expectation that any organization in the left is perfect, and any one organization in the left has the capacity to lead a whole movement. We're not in that space. There's a lot that has happened. I also want to say this. I think we need to assess the forums in which we have these conversations, because sometimes we do the work that was once designated to those who are our enemies, because we don't have the capacity to take these conversations where they belong, which is a face-to-face, which is a one that is, I mean, I'm not saying that what you're saying, Amber, I've never been able to, maybe because of my age, to follow like the whole conversation that's happening in the chat. I'm paying attention to what is being said in these 4 boxes in front of me. I really do believe that we have vices in the American left. And I say that with all my mouth and heart and chest as someone who has done work with the left and socialist movements outside of the United States. We have vices that come specifically from having lived and exist in the empire core. And a lot of the times we bring those into the spaces in which we are. There is nothing invalid about people's experience. People experience a lot of things. I've experienced a lot of things in many different places. However, we need to understand that each organization has its strategy, has its integrity, has its protocols, and we need to learn to respect those. And if we have our own organizations with that level of discipline, that level of structure, that level of messiness as well that comes from organizing, then we become a little less focused on one organization. And we become more focused on a larger strategy, a larger goal. With that, I will say, when Jared mentioned, hey, Claudia, come on, it was because I was like, I'm on a freedom ride bus that is going from Newark, New Jersey, all the way to Jenna. Work. The people. There's a whole bunch of folks in Delaney Hall right now that are turning shit up in Newark, New Jersey, in its facility, demanding better food conditions, demanding better conditions inside that facility. There is a group of people that have landed in Louisiana at the detention center where Mahmoud Khalil is being held to demand his release, to demand the shutdown of these detention centers. I would much rather spend the next 30 minutes talking about that. Iran is being fucking bombed as we speak. Gaza has been basically shut off any type of conversation with the world. Let's talk about that. There are people in LA that are ramping up to continue to go up and face the fucking Marines and the National Guard. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I'm definitely down to talk about that. I think that if Gigi had interrupted me earlier, my question would have got answered quicker. So I just want to blame him.
So
anyway,
so I just want to be clear, like, and then that I'm not. My point isn't to discredit or disbelieve anybody's claims. My point is to raise that any claim could, at minimum, be 100% true, could be 100% false, could simply not understand the context, could be an honest mistake, could be just misinformed. And I think it's unclear how we assess all of that in these and get to Claudia's point, back on track in these kinds of spaces. So I did want to Claudia, have you talk a little bit about, because I admit I didn't know anything about this. I was completely out to lunch on this, is the case with many things.
I did.
But the freedom ride that you're talking about, could you talk a little bit about that, and then let's have that be the segue to these other issues that you and PSL are addressing.
Well, so as many of you know, I mean, I am a socialist because capitalism make me one. The material conditions of the society in which we live, and the fact that I was born into poverty, I am a working class person, has led me to believe that there needs to be a new system. But I'm also a Christian, and I'm a Christian because I understand that Jesus was a revolutionary. He was an anti-imperialist, and that's why he was crucified as an enemy of the state, because he fought the Roman Empire. And so I have now taken on the leadership of an organization that I feel very close to my heart, which is IFCO Pastors for Peace, which was born actually out of the reparations movement and the Black liberation movement of the 1960s. At the head, Reverend Lucius Walker, who walked with a lot of giants. He was a giant himself. And so I've taken on this organization that is now a 57-year-old organization rooted in Black liberation and civil rights movement. And in this moment, one of the biggest things that I felt was necessary was to respond to this moment as a person of faith. And there are other organizations and faith leaders who came together, the Riverside Church being one, the People's Forum, the Interfaith Center of New York. None of us actually completely aligned, but very much understanding that there is a necessity to respond from the many different sectors where the working class is, including faith communities. And so one of the ways in which some folks did it in the past was through these freedom rides, and we didn't want to reenact, but we wanted to reemerge in some ways. We wanted to reclaim the legacy of the freedom rides that went against a system that was dehumanizing, that was, dismembering communities, killing people. And we took on the task of leaving from Newark, New Jersey, from Delaney Hall, which is where a lot of folks are being held without due process, that are being taken from, the Northeast, and making it to Jenna, where Mahmoud Khalil is also being held, but also stopping in different significant historical places. So we stopped in Washington, D.C., we stopped in Raleigh, and were greeted by the USSW, the Union of Southern Service Workers. These are the most exploited people in the South. These are the folks that mayors and governors say, well, you could come down and have your corporations work, and you could get a tax break, and you won't have to deal with a union, because they are getting minimum wage for the amount of work. Like, there are exploitation wages that folks are getting. So we stopped with the USSW, hosted us. We had an exchange, a conversation. We participated in their rally around David Huerta, who had been arrested in LA, SEIU president in LA. We stopped in Charlotte and had conversations with the Muslim community there. We went on then to Atlanta, and we had an exchange with members of the community, Veterans for Peace, folks who have been doing work around Stop Cop City with Reverend Kiana Jones. Shout outs to the Reverend Kiana. And then folks were going to Birmingham, and now this morning, they will be in front of the facility holding a press conference with community members, faith leaders, activists, and students in front of the detention center where Mahmoud Khalil is being held and hopefully released.
Yeah, someone sent me the flyer for the event in Jenna a little while ago, because I've been following the Freedom Ride. And I do think it would have been helpful if Jerry had told us what you were coming on to talk about, but that didn't happen. So I didn't know. So that's why I want to ask my questions about PSL.
It's okay. It's fine.
I just want to say it's always a man's fault. Anyways, I have a question though. So the bus from Newark,
yeah,
is it going down the whole entire time? Like when y'all are stopping places, do new people get on, or like it's driving the whole way through?
Yeah. So some people have gotten on the bus. Some people have followed the bus. Some people have left the bus. Like I had to leave out of Atlanta because I have a 10-year-old that required my assistance in time. So I'm with him this weekend. But, again, the idea is to be able to be in exchange with other organizations and other people who are struggling, who are fighting, who are strategizing, and building that unity and that conversation. For a lot of folks in that route, this was the first time that they'd gone to the South. This was the first time that they were in relationship with an organization such as the USSW, or the first time that some of these folks that were in these spews and were in these meetings met an organization. That there were a lot of folks in Charlotte, for example, that came through because they saw the flyer, because somebody gave them a flyer, and they were looking for an organization to be connected to. So a lot of people just across the country are hungry. They want to join an organization. They want to be part of something. They understand the urgency of the moment. And so part of the reason that we did this Freedom Ride was to put people in relationship to each other and put their struggles in relationship to each other. And I feel like in many ways it was successful. And as we mentioned all throughout the ride, like this is a ride with a destination to Louisiana, but the work must continue. Like this is an educational journey. This is a agitational journey in some ways, but the work of building community, the work of organizing within communities and building the confidence and strength within the communities is what's necessary. And so new bonds were built within the bus. The folks that have, there's some folks that are still on that came on all the way from Newark to Jenna. And that is like a week of being with people that you don't know. That in itself is a learning curve, with being around people who are people of faith, people who don't claim to be people of faith, but do all the work, right? Then you have
people necessarily always align either.
Yeah, not always align. And then you have people who have an understanding of politics in a way that is not your own. And so it forces you to we had all sorts of conversations in that buzz about, systemic problems, and looking at things systemically rather than reformist. Looking like we had all sorts of conversations around political education. People made book lists, people made playlists, people, like sharing resources, information, ideas. And the bus itself becomes a university. It becomes a popular education space, in addition to the spaces of being in conversation with organizations and folks around the route. And some folks feel moved. There was someone in Atlanta that was like, I want to ride with y'all. And we're like, okay, cool. She's part of an organization. And we had that conversation. The person came on. And they're in Jannah now, and they're making the connections between a lot of her work, or her entry point to like this work was around Palestine. And she is talking about the ways in which families are separated in Palestine, and the ways in which people are separated here, and the instruments that are utilized here to build that separation. And so people are making connections. Again, this is a contribution to the work, and it's a small one. But if a lot of people do this level of contributions, then there's a lot of other people that are impacted and can potentially either become part of the movement or could be transformed by the movement.
If folks are interested in hearing more from Claudia on this and other issues, please definitely go back and among all these other great interviews, check this longer discussion we had specifically around her approach to religion and revolution on the platform. And the other thing, Claudia, what I was looking up earlier is because I am having this wonderful experience teaching my sociology of prisons course over the summer, and having and using exclusively this text from Dr. Burton.
Ori, yeah.
That we all know and love, and one of the things that just came up, because we just concluded chapter 3, and one of the points to your previous point about the importance of challenging and organize and having an organized response against what's happening. I just was thinking of this issue, this point on page 86 where where Burton is talking about part of the uprising, and this moment where across racial lines prisoners have organized to defend themselves and to aggress upon the prison itself. And there's this moment where he talks about, that is Burton, the fragility of the guard and of one of the prison guards, who in this moment is meant, I think, to represent, for Burton and for us, the state itself. Mm-hmm. He explicitly says another guard earlier on the page represented the empire, the state, and the police, and was aggressed upon as such. But this other guard, in turn, when he saw this organized collective response, literally dropped to his knees and started crying. And that was sort of like, again, the fragility of a lot of what is behind all the tough talk and sometimes the aggressive, obviously hostile and genocidal violence. But behind that is a fragility of the individuals involved. Not everybody is so tough when they're not dropping bombs from 30,000 feet, or when they're not rolling with 20 of their homeboys on 10, 3 or 4 people who are much less armed and organized and resourced, et cetera, and so forth. Not everybody is so tough when they don't have, as we used to, we used to grow up here in our generation, the badge and the gun on their hip. Not everybody is so tough. And if it was just a nice, for me, and I hope for my class, a reminder, especially given this moment, that what you all are representing, this organized, collective, in this case, a positive sense, diversely radical and conscious group of people, that there's motivation there, and that the enemy is not as powerful and mythically, unconquerable. So yeah, I just that was really what I was looking at, and wanted to I don't really have a question. Just wanted to maybe invite you to say more about. Yeah.
Well, that's a real gem. Anyone who hasn't read the Sphere, the Tip of the Sphere, needs to read that book. Because out of all the books that are out there around mass incarceration, policing, what Ori does as a reminder of our legacy, like Queen Mother Moore and like all these folks that on whose legacy we live in. And in addition to that, the analysis of what this mass incarceration system means to the outside world it's mind-blowing. So shout outs to Ori. Amazing piece. I think that we need to be reminded often of how weak this system actually is. And because it's weak, it necessitates violence. Because it's weak, it necessitates to impose and weaponize everything at its disposal. One thing that we talked about, or that that I brought up in Atlanta, was like, how many of you are over 25 years old? And a lot of folks rose their hands. And I said, ICE has only been around for 22 years, which means that you're older than ICE, which means that ICE could actually be abolished because it wasn't there before. And I think people need to gain perspective. These systems, these structures, these instruments haven't been there for so long in relationship to human history and human development. That's hopeful. They've created these instruments because at some point they've necessitated to crush people's spirits, to crush people's capacity to organize. We could say the same thing, in the historical context in which the FBI was built. It was built precisely to destroy the energy and the work that was being done around revolution. The same thing with ICE. Like, these things were created to destroy people's capacity, not only to dream about transformation, but to actually practically make transformation happen. And in that same way, we need to build our own instruments to respond to that level of violence. Is it possible for us to be able to, do many of the things that we dream? Only if we try will we know. But they are weak. Trump is so weak that he's had to back up from all of these threats of tariffs. He's had to back up. And he's had to back up because there's a whole international community that is saying, we are tired of being the U.S., sweatshop in the global South, just generally. And people are like, the U.S. don't want to mess with us. We're going to go mess with China. And we're going to go, build our own blocks. The alliance that's being formed in the Sahel, that's something we should follow. We should follow the process by which Mexico actually has the capacity to elect its first progressive, because people forget that, its first progressive Mexican woman president. That didn't just show up. That has been something that has been underway for over 20 years. It's a movement that has been there, that has failed, that has succeeded, that has had curves. We need to start learning as movements from the capacity that countries, people like the people in Argentina had to overthrow a dictatorship, a military dictatorship, that people in Brazil had to overthrow a military dictatorship. Meaning that if we are going into a political dictatorship or a military dictatorship, as Trump is wanting to kind of show force, we need to have the capacity to understand that there have been people in history that actually have fought and won. Because they are fragile, because the only thing they have is the monopoly on violence. But we are indeed the majority of people. And so we have the capacity to shut down the economy. We have the capacity to shut down workplaces. We have the capacity to shut down anything and everything that is essential. And people have done it, And so I think more than anything, that point that you made, Jared, is critical for us to maintain the perspective. There's a lot that's happening. There's a lot that has been happening for over 20 months. There was a lot that was happening pre-COVID. 2019, the world was on fire. People in Haiti were out in the streets. People in Chile were out in the streets. People in Colombia were out in the streets. Like, people were out. So people have been in this revolutionary or this desire for a real transformation from the roots for a while. And that's not going to come alone. It's going to come with repression. It's going to come with birthing, the system actually birthing individuals like Trump to take power and do everything that they're doing. But we need to acknowledge that if what we do right now is kind of like give them all the power and allow them to do everything, anything that we lose in this moment, we won't get back in the next, after Trump is gone. Whatever we lose now, we will lose forever. And they will build their strength upon what we lose. So we have to fight.
Yeah, right on. Absolutely.
My question was about how do you blend revolution and religion for people who haven't seen the video that Dr. Bob Jared posted about you talking about revolution and religion blending together. Like, what are your biggest things to do that?
I think in general, people have faith in something. There are people who have faith in God. There are people who have faith in other people. There are people who have faith in individuals, in the work that they do, faith in themselves. Whatever faith it is, people are people of belief. And we have a belief system. And I think we shouldn't get caught up in whether a person believes in God or a person believes in Allah or a person believes in their community or their fight or their struggle. People of faith should be moved to action in defense of life. And that is what brings us together. Like, if we have the capacity to understand that our faith is not a refuge, that our faith does not give us the authority to just allow shit to happen, because that is what it is. And we actually understand that we are in this world to leave it better than what it has become, then we have a responsibility. I think that for many folks, I personally had a crisis this week because I haven't worn my clerical shirt. For those of you who are not in the church, clerical shirt is the little thing, the white little thing.
You call a shirt?
Yeah, that the faith leaders wear. I had a little bit of a crisis, and I walked around it, and I saw it, and I walked away from it because it is true. The church the church with the big C has done a lot of harm. And that is the institution of the church, right? It has blessed weapons. It has blessed people like Trump in an Oval Office. And it has given him some sort of authority to go and unleash hell on people. And when you see that as a person of faith, there are many things that can happen. God damn this big church with the C, right? And then I was reminded that I come from a group of people who were very much grounded in liberation. A group of people who understood that God don't like ugly. That God doesn't really love everybody, actually. And we shouldn't love white supremacists, and we shouldn't love people who exploit other people, and we shouldn't love people who are breaking up families, and we shouldn't love people who are denying the trans community the right to exist. We shouldn't love people who are okay with babies being bombed. We should not. And that's okay to say out loud. And then when I thought about that community that taught me that, I was like, you know what? I will wear my damn clerical shirt, because if I don't wear it, those who are saying all the wrong shit, claiming to be Christian, will continue to keep Jesus hostage. And Jesus was not that. And so I wore my clerical shirt and on the understanding that I'm not here to demand from people that they believe in Jesus. That is not what I'm here to do. In fact, I think that a lot of Christians are the reason there's so many atheists. And so I'm not going to hear demanding people that they, pledge their loyalty to Jesus. That's not what I'm here to do. What I am here to do is to remind people that there are values, there are principles, and that there is a politic within our faith to be able to fight for liberation. And if we are all in belief of that, then we could move forward together.
Yeah.
That's it.
I just thought of how you can make up to me, ghosting me, and not let me know you came in town. We're trying to I'm just I'm trying to. So there's this pastor that we work with who is he I'm calling him a liberation theologist, and he does great work. And we have an event in July, and I've been trying to organize this. There's so in Pittsburgh neighborhood, there are more churches per capita in this neighborhood than it is in all of the country. But he's like the only pastor. Well, I won't say the only, but he's the leading pastor who does great work. So once I get them together, I'm bringing you down to talk to them. And you can't say no because you ghost me, and it's
I can't. No, so. I owe it.
You can actually say no.
No, you
can't say no, Claudia.
No.
Geechee, when you say liberation theology, is he preaching like Black liberation theology or just liberation theology in general?
So he's kind of I don't know. I want to say he practiced a con, but he's like when you go to his church, it's all in Dinker symbols and he has
like African spirituality stuff.
Yeah, but I think the work that he's doing is rooted in it. Like he very focused on the material conditions of his people. And he's like, it's not the church with a capital C. It's more so of they know that the church is the body of people and it's not the building per se, and they get it done. They touch grass, like Claudia would say.
That's lit. Yeah, I go to a church that teaches Black liberation theology. And I do notice a difference. I notice a huge difference between like just your regular like non-denominational churches and then churches that are focused on Black liberation theology. That I did notice before, like until I started going to one more consistently. I do think there's a lot of big differences though.
Yeah.
But we know Jared's an atheist, so
Jared be getting in the word, man. We be having the Bible conversation in the chats.
What's interesting is that and Jared is fine. I respect, everybody went through their process to get to where they are. And I think in many ways, again, folks, I have a lot of good friends and people I love dearly who are atheists, and actually in faith, like in practice, they practice more that believe in liberation than the so-called people that say believe in Jesus. Mm-hmm. And, I am able to see more of the God that I believe in those folks than those who claim to be believers and don't do the work. So I come from a church that was very much, it was a lot of atheists in my church, but these were folks that came from liberation movements in El Salvador, people that came from liberation movements in Guatemala, folks that were building in some ways towards the revolutionary process in Venezuela. So they had the Bolivarian circles, folks that were part of the Black liberation movement, the MOVE family. So Pam Africa was in my church a lot, and she was cursing up a storm like she usually does, and I had to translate that shit. So imagine translating from English to Spanish, fuck you. I was like, man, my mom's gonna kill me. Because that's all, if you know Pam, you know Pam. And so
these motherfuckers, I used to cut up. I used to make mixes out of her speeches. These motherfuckers.
Imagine translating that shit. So I had to translate that from English to Spanish. And I was, at the end, I was like, mommy, it wasn't me. I was translating. I'm 14, 15 years old. Anyway, I'm
sorry to interrupt, but I have to take credit for this. I do have to, because there is the affectionately known as the mayor of DC hip hop, or Head Rockanatin, as I used to call him, Head Rock. He had a track called "These Motherfuckers" back in the day, and I am the one that literally by phone introduced him to Pam, got her clip from a speech she gave at Malcolm X Park where she was like, these motherfuckers, and if you don't like me using the word motherfucker, don't be mad at me for using the word motherfucker, be mad at these motherfuckers for creating these motherfucking conditions. And I was like, and I gave him that clip and was like, I was producing that shit. It was like, these motherfuckers featuring Pam Africa. I was like, that's what I'm talking about.
And to build on that, I had to translate very similar thing for her in church, where after I just kept saying, I'm not vulgar. Capitalism is vulgar. So shout outs to Pam Africa.
yeah. That's what's up.
And shout out to you for making us translations. That's a hell of a that's work.
I mean, that was part of my political development, and it came in a church, and it came, you know, in the same way that folks were talking about Jesus being anti-imperialist and having been crucified as an enemy of the state. This Palestinian Jew, like the historical aspect of it was also very much part of my development. And so I'm very appreciative of that space, not because I found, again, you know, the people of God. I found divine disciples of liberation in that space. And I am completely, indebted to that community. And one of the reasons why I continue to do the work that I do is because so many of them pour their life into me. And a lot of them, again, were atheists.
Yeah. So Jared, there's an argument in the chat about whether or not you're atheist or agnostic. Are you atheist or agnostic?
So just very quickly, because unfortunately I do have to run. I hate to be the one to be that.
We all got to get up out of here.
So we will finish that discussion next week. And for more on that, check the link, check that video with Claudia that's on the platform for more on liberation theology. And we will reveal next week as we get back to more of the Remix Morning Show, and in particularly Amber's approach. We will also have a section on Jared's the state of his religious beliefs. So something to look forward to. We have to give you all something to look forward to in between now and next Friday. So Claudia, thank you very much.
We'll put together a schedule since Geechee really likes agendas.
Wait, what?
Geechee will put together the run sheet.
I don't. I'm vegan. I don't know what's going on.
We don't have beef. Geechee said he thinks that we need an agenda, like a
No, I just need you to stop throwing them things up while people talking and then saying stop talking about this. That's all.
I'll never do that, mainly because I don't listen to men. So
there it is. So as not that we're listening to men, we're just going to have a man segue us out and transition, and but thanks specifically to the women and the woman herself, Claudia De La Cruz, for coming through. Thank you very much, Claudia, for this.
Thank you for having me.
Can't wait to have you come back anytime. We're going to, as much as we can fit you into your schedule, we would love to have you come back.
Before you end, Claudia, are they going to live stream the press conference anywhere?
I believe that they will be doing it through Breakthrough News. We live streamed the one leaving from Newark, so hopefully they will do the same this morning. Yeah.
Right on to the 1 million plus subscriber base, Breakthrough News, and I saw him in the chat. So salute.
You just don't read, beloved.
As well. And look, peace, everybody. Only if you're willing to fight for it. Geechee, Amber, right. Claudia, the undefeated chat. Salute. Catch you next time. Tomorrow, Saturdays with Renee, Sundays with the Ear Doctor. I Mix What I Like, Fanon 100 Years, and the Moomba 100 Years Monday morning, and more remix all next week. So peace, everybody. Only if you're willing to fight for it, like Fred Hampton used to say. Catch you next time right here.
Remix. 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 Remix.